Good morning, guys. Bonjour. So, today I wanted to talk about balancing our friendships when we get into new romantic relationships. Um, in my opinion, now that I have a different outlook on being single, I see single as one of the best times in the world because it gives you an opportunity to work on yourself. It gives you an opportunity to do things that you necessarily maybe are not able to freely do in a marriage. Not that when you get married you lose yourself and you don't have your own identity and you're not free to do things that you want, but obviously there's an adjustment period and things are a little bit different when you get married. So for those of you who are interested in being in a long-term relationship in a marriage, I say that because not everybody is made to be married, and not everybody wants to be married. But for those of you who are, that's your desire to be in a relationship, rather a man or a woman, I just don't believe in this whole thing about you being a wife when your ring gets on your finger. Even though there's legal reasons behind it, yes, I'm officially not someone's wife until I'm carrying your last name, until I'm under the same roof with you, until we stand in front of our friends and family and we exchange vows. Yes, I agree with that. But I believe the core of being a wife happens when you're single. You don't just become a wife the day of the wedding day. The marriage day is just formalities. It's just something for legal reasons. But the core of being who a wife is happens during your singlehood. So I feel like you're single. While you're single, it's your opportunity to work on yourself as a person. Forget being married, but just work on yourself as a person to be the best version of yourself, to work on anything that you want to get better at, anything that you want to do. I don't believe in friendship necessarily changes when you get married or when you're in a relationship, but I do believe that the same activities that you did when you were single, woo, child, that you may not be able to do when you are married. Okay, so I'm taking a deep breath because I just had this discussion the other day. So, processing my thoughts. There's something that's called respect. And when you are in a committed partnership, marriage, partnership, engagement, your husband, there's something that's called respect. What do I mean by that? If you are married, you can't be walking up in the house 3 a.m. in the morning talking about I'm an adult and I'm grown and I do what I want to do, right? It doesn't make sense. Your husband and your wife needs to know what you're doing. So when you are in a committed relationship, there's something that's called respect. So it's important that we have healthy friendships that don't require for us to do things that would damage our current romantic relationships. I don't believe that it is healthy to be around people that don't support your union, especially if the union is God sent, especially if the union is a healthy union and it's not a toxic union. If it's a healthy union, if it's a God sent union, it's important that your friendships around you support that union. Because what happens is if you have friendships that don't support the union that you have, it's going to eventually affect and taint the relationship. So there has to be a balance where you're still maintaining your friendships, but you're still honoring your relationship, especially if you're in a covenant of a marriage. It's God and then your marriage. Your marriage is your first ministry when you're married. So if your husband is calling and you are on the phone with your girlfriend and she or your homeboy or she or he has a problem with you clicking over to answer the phone call for your husband or your fiance, that's a problem, because this problem did not start when you got in the romantic relationship. That problem was there before. So what you got to nip it in the bud is you have to nip it in the bud before. check them before. And when I say check them, I don't mean be rude about it. I'm like, let them know, like, yo, like, listen, here's the order of my life. My relationship with myself. Okay, my relationship with myself is number one priority. And I know somebody's going to say, oh, you're putting your relationship with yourself before God. That's what I have to have a healthy relationship with myself. Then I have a relationship with God. Then comes my husband and my kid. And someone's like, oh my God, she put a man before a child. Child, we'll do another video about that. I'm going to explain to you what I mean about that, okay? So once I have these things in priority, my friendships are after that. And I'm not saying your friendships are not important. I'm not saying the minute you get into a romantic relationship, you go, child, bye, honey. I got my man now. Because that's what I want to get into. I had wrote this down so I don't forget to say it. It's important that we have friendships outside of our partnership, outside of our spouses, because to have your spouse be your sole friend is exhausting. It is too much responsibility. Get a life. Everyone has the ability to have one friend. And even if you don't have a best friend, you can have associates. It's healthy. It is recommended that you have friendships outside of your spouse and your partner. Because hopefully, I hope, you're married to your best friend. Because your spouse is supposed to be your best friend. So I am encouraging you to have a life outside of your partnership and your marriage, because it is too much responsibility to put on an individual that they are your everything. And I know it's cute and I know it's romantic to tell someone you are my everything. I see things a little different. That's too much responsibility to put on an individual for someone to be your everything. That's too much responsibility. So it's important that there is a balance, that you're still putting your marriage as priority. Your marriage is your first ministry, period. There's no way around it, guys. Your marriage is your first ministry, and balancing having friendships outside of your marriage. He needs a break from you, and you need a break for him. He needs his homeboys to vent, and you need your homegirls to vent. But your homegirls need to understand the hierarchy in your life, how things take place, that your marriage is important, that she and he needs to respect the covenant of the marriage, that there's certain activities and certain things cannot be done. There's certain ways that we move that cannot be done out of respect. Just respect, period. There's certain things I don't do just out of respect. And some people may think, oh, you're weak, you're weak, someone's controlling you. No, it's just respect. There's just certain things you just don't do, and there's certain things you just stay away from out of respect. Yep, I already mentioned that. I was looking at my notes. I wrote down it's stronger to have relationships outside of your marriage. So I'm not going to keep you guys long today. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Is I wanted you guys to understand that if you are in a situation where you feel like your friends feel that you're not giving them as much attention because you're in a relationship and you're spending time with your significant other, things are supposed to change. There's supposed to be a significant change. If there's not a change in your relationship with your friends, where you're not spending a little less time with them, then that means something is wrong with your marriage. Because guys, I'm telling you, I wrote a devotion about this before. And my marriage lasted longer than it was supposed to last. I was married, my first marriage, I was married for about 14 to 15 years. Maybe a good portion of 6 years of that marriage, I spent spending time with my sister Kate, on the phone with her, on a plane going to New Jersey, her getting on the plane from Jersey coming here. I spent most of my time using my friendships as a distraction. Okay, so that marriage could have ended long time ago if I did not use my sister as a distraction. I was able to cope with the verbal abuse in a household. Okay, both of us. I was able to cope with the domestic violence atmosphere that we created. I was able to cope with the toxic environment that we were able to create it because I had temporary outlets. I was always in the club with my sister. I was always out. I was always doing things. We literally had separate lives. He went to one church. I went to another church. Thanksgiving, he went to his people's. I went to my people's. When there was any holiday, anything, it's either I stayed home, he went, and I went somewhere. We had two separate lives because I was able to use my friendships in my life as a coping mechanism to last in a marriage. So the marriage was actually over way before it was actually over because I used my friends as a coping mechanism, as a temporary filler. So yes, there is supposed to be a significant change in the amount of time that you spend with your friends. There's supposed to be an adjustment in that time. It doesn't mean that you don't spend time with them. There'll be an adjustment. I mentioned the thing about my previous marriage before is because when you're spending all of your time with your friends and not with your significant other, usually it means you're running from something. Because when you are in a healthy relationship, you want to spend as much time as possible with your partner. There are people right now that you know, or it may be you, that use outside outlets as a coping mechanism to stay in a relationship that you know doggone well that you're not supposed to be in. Because most people that are divorced have been divorced way before the legal papers have been divorced. Because they use outlet. That's what cheating is about. Cheating is a pause button. Cheating is about I want out, but I don't have the courage I'm a coward and I don't have the courage to get up and get out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the pause button and I'm going to open a space in my life as a temporary filler to fill a void. And then that's where cheating comes in. So if your friendships with your girlfriend has not changed, means there's no adjustment in the amount of time that you spend with them, or no adjustment with your boys, amount of time that you spend with your boys, then that means that you're not interested in spending a significant time with your partner. And that's a problem. So there has to be a balance between pouring into your friendships and pouring into your partnership and into your marriage. There is a balance. There can't be all your time with your spouse and no time with the outside people, where you're spending no time with your friends. That's unhealthy. That's too much responsibility. Get a life. Get a life. And even if you don't have a best friend, there's associates. There's someone you can call and go have lunch with, go to the spa with, somebody. Trust me. Okay? I'm not saying forced relationship, but we all have associates, even if, because I know people that don't have best friends, but they have associates. They have people they can go to lunch with, go to the spa with, go to the movie with. And even if you don't have that, hell, go by yourself. I've done it. You know what I mean? So yes, there has to be a balance, okay? So if you get anything out of this video, that means if you're spending all your time with your spouse and no time with your friends, that's unhealthy. If you're spending all your time with your friends and no time with your spouse, that's unhealthy. There has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. And you have to set the precedence of what your hierarchy is, as far as what's important in your life. You, God, your husband, your children, or whatever. You got to let your friends know what's up. Like, you got to let them know what's up before the union starts. Because if you have a problem in the relationships now, of them respecting the fact that now you're in a relationship, that problem started when you were dating. So you got to put them on check and let them know, sweetie, we're cool and all that. But when my man called, you can't be acting funny because I'm answering the phone because my man called. And no, I'm not going to the strip club with you. No. And no, I'm not going to this event where I know my ex is. No. Why? Because that may cause unnecessary drama, and it's something that's called respect. So you have to set those rules early on, so when the union starts, they know what's up. That's it. Healthy balance. We can have it all, right? Healthy balance. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.